our careless decision making and where we lost. It's not that we didn't do it for the game. It's we went through a stretch where we lost our minds and we lost our intensity with winning and delivering catches. And not only did that change the score, but it actually let them start to feel good. And when they feel good, they're tough to play.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler. Honored and pleased to be with you, with Jimmy in control. It hasn't been a fun 24 hours. It really has been fun. That basketball game sucked last night. I don't know how else to put it. I thought, silly me, that Kentucky was in control. They not only were up 12, but how they were playing, how they were moving, and all that kind of stuff. And there needs to be a new state law. Jimmy, would you do me a favor? I know you have a lot of pull in Frankfurt, right? Aren't you big with the legislatures in Frankfurt?
Very big, yes.
Would you sponsor a bill for me since you're a representative?
Of course.
Okay. I am suggesting you sponsor a bill, a state law, that it also happens when you go outside the state, that Mark Pope cannot take. Let me repeat. Mark Pope can never take, never, ever take Owe and Aberdeen out of the game for a second at the same time. That's the rule I want to make. I would be willing to bet, if you look at the great state of Kentucky and all the people who thank you listen to the show from outside the state, listening online or tomorrow on a podcast, I'm just saying, I believe with my heart that no, it wouldn't be unanimous. But Jimmy, majority, yes. 75%, yes. 80, yes. 90, I think 90% of all Kentucky fans, anywhere in the world, anywhere in this universe, would say, don't allow Owe and Aberdeen to come out of the game, to sit on the bench at the same time. Jimmy, do you think I'm being conservative when I say 90% of all Kentucky fans who know basketball? You think I'm being conservative?
Yeah, I think that'd be right there. It might be the fastest bill ever passed in Kentucky, whatever's history of the bills. Yeah.
I like that. Fastest bill ever. So can I get my name on the bill too? Since you're the legislature, can you call it the Cutler Jimmy rule, or do we need to call it the Jimmy Cutler rule? Since it is my idea.
I think you would be on there first. One, just alphabetically, and because it was your idea.
You know, I've always thought you're being very gracious to me at times, yes?
Yeah. I'll throw you a bone with that one if I can.
Okay. So the Cutler Jimmy rule that I'm proposing to Jimmy, that there needs to be a state law. By the way, you think any of this is in my notes for today?
Probably not.
Look, come on, Jimmy, you've known me for a long time now. I'm as surprised as anybody I just said this.
It's good. That's how the best ideas are formed usually.
Yes, mine usually are. Think less, do better. Anyway, seriously, Kentucky's in control. Silly me. I really thought the game was over. In other words, that they were going to continue to play well. And then they get a little run. And athletics is athletics. Oftentimes, by putting your starters back doesn't mean squat if somebody's feeling good about themselves. And think about what A&M is going through. Recently, they've sucked shooting the ball after doing really well. What do they lose, 6 of 8 or something like that? And there was talk about them being on the bubble. Well, once they started feeling it didn't matter who was in the game defensively for Kentucky. They were hitting. Were they, if I remember right, 1 for 9 from 3 starting out? And they finished 13 of 28. That's like 12 of 19. 12 of 20 is 60%. And that's crazy what they shot. I mean, they were feeling it, and they were hitting some great shots. But Kentucky allowed them to get back in the game. And then once they got back in the game, Kentucky could not do a damn thing. They couldn't. Okay, so, it was close in the second half, up and back, up and back, up and back, up and back. It doesn't make a difference at that point. Doesn't make a difference that Kentucky won the second half by a point because the game was over at the half. It was. And I got to tell you, when they started making that little run late to knock it down, There were a lot of other games when they were making a late run. I'm thinking, I think they can do this after they did a couple, right? But I never thought, I don't know about you, but I never thought that they were going to come back and win the game. They lose 96-85. And I got to tell you, Mr. Buckyball, he's got to be the coach of the year in the SEC. Think about it. He gets the job late, right? And then there's no budget. And he has to find a bunch of kids who play his style of ball. He did a hell of a job. It's going to be fascinating to see what he can do for next year since he's got a full year of recruiting. And apparently he's getting more money. And apparently he didn't have a lot of money to recruit when he got there, which is A&M. Jimmy, they print money for football. Like, couldn't they have, lend him another $7-8 million bucks or something like that, not to have 22? I mean, if you like Buckyball, this guy, what did he do? He's 3-time coach of the year in the league before, and before that in high school, he won 5 state championships. This guy's a hell of a coach. There will be a lot of athletics directors saying, why didn't I hire him? Seriously, why didn't I hire him? Got to give kudos to Diabate. Jimmy, I have no idea how, as he is serious about Ramadan, which I respect tremendously, and he has breakfast, 5:30 in the morning, then can't eat all day, can't drink any water, can't do anything till sundown, and he's still being able to play the way he is. 8 and 9 from the field, I think it's his best game overall. Now, he had a couple rebounds that helped win games. That's different. But overall game, 8 and 9 from the field, 3 of 6 free throws. And because Kentucky lost so bad, they sucked at the free throw line again, 60%. 60%. And the crazy thing is, I'm not saying they would have won, but it's 96-85. Suppose they made 6 more free throws, which is doable, okay? 6 more free throws. That makes it 96-91. And, Jimmy, let me tell you something. On that basis, with 7 minutes to go, there might have been a chance. So I'm not saying if they shot free throws, they would have won the game. No. They might have not won it anyway. I'm going to say they would have had a chance. A chance. A big chance? No, but a chance. Look, 96-85, pretty simple math. Lose by 11, and you miss 11 freaking free throws. Seriously, 11 free throws. It's terrible. It's terrible. 60%. Jimmy, have I talked about free throws at least a third of the games this year?
I'd say more, honestly.
Do you disagree with my complaints?
No, it's baffling that it continues to be an issue. I don't. I truly don't understand it.
And I don't know anybody else who talks about free throws the way I do. It's free throws. Really drives me nuts. Anyway, give some kudos to Diabate. And he did his best to keep him in the game at 24 points. And is it the strangest thing on the face of the earth that Trent Noah finally hits a couple shots and then he sprains his ankle off his coach's foot? That was nuts. It was nuts. And I hope his ankle's okay. And maybe he's coming out of his slump. 12 minutes, 9 points, 3 rebounds. You know something else, Jimmy? When they took him out, 4 or 5 minutes ago, whatever the heck it was, and put the starters back in, and he was hot, I would have gone, believe it or not, leave him in. Suppose he makes another shot. I'm not saying for the rest of the game, but you keep him in until he misses. Something like that, because you played him longer than you thought, and you wanted to put your starters back. And I disagree with that. The substitution pattern for Pope has probably been the most talked about thing in Lexington. I don't understand it. My dear friend Doug Barnes. I was going to ask you to play the clip from yesterday, but it's too long, the clip of the day. When I asked him what he needed, what UK needed in his opinion, former UK assistant coach under Eddie Sutton, what UK needed to do to take the next step. And the first word out of his mouth, remember what it was, Jimmy? Defense. And he went on with all these things defensively that Kentucky isn't doing and need to do if they want to keep on improving and maybe do something special this year. That was the clip of the day. Put it on social media. And I kept on thinking about Doug as I'm watching the game last night. And we text. It was just interesting, the thought process. I got to tell you, there's a bunch of Kentucky players who text me last night. I'm not sure if I should use any names or not, but they were not very happy. By the way, at the half, Doug sent this. Horrible full court offense. Don't understand subbing. Like I said, you have to play smart defense. You know, I've said this before about Doug, dear friend. Mr. Popolock owns it, has owned it for 30 years in town, and has another Popolock in Louisville. It was amazing how many times when he would come on my show and we talk about what Kentucky needed to do when Cal was here, that he was not only dead on, but Cal would make some adjustments off, not because they were listening to him, but he just finally figured out he needed to have some of those adjustments. It's crazy. It really is crazy how this team has been so up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. That was a clip of the day a couple days ago when I was talking about the fact I can't remember another season in all my years covering Kentucky, forgetting about, the NCAA mess and the couple bad seasons. That's a season. But during the year, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Jimmy, Pope lost me a little bit last night. Oh, no, I'm not saying fire Pope or anything like that. But he lost me a little bit last night. And it really hasn't happened until last night. That substitute pattern. And then after the game, when he's talking about, at least my guys fought hard and fought in there and all that kind of stuff, saying the right things. And that's lovely. It's lovely. But Jimmy, get ready for clip one of Pope, please. Man is ready. Focus, 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 focus. Do they have enough focus? Here's Pope.
We had great focus and great intensity for the first 14 minutes of the game, 12 minutes of the game, actually really good. And then we just lost our focus. We stopped fighting to win catches. We started getting really careless. We got sped up, which is what they do, and we just didn't respond well. And it just spiraled a little bit out of control for us.
Yeah, lost focused. Jimmy, can they call some more timeouts? I get what Phil Jackson did, but that was called the Chicago Bulls. They were pretty good, right? And he would often on purpose not call a timeout to see the guys work through it. And I can't tell you the exact number of times, but there have been a number of games this year where I've thought to myself and put in the notes, and I really haven't talked about this enough, where in my humble opinion, watching basketball for 1,000 years, that I would have called the timeout. I think some other coaches would have called the timeout. Maybe it's the philosophy that Mark Pope has. I can't answer that. But as A&M was getting momentum and momentum and momentum, there are a couple times I didn't scream at the TV. That's an exaggeration. But I'm looking at the TV and almost talking to it, and I said, would you please take a timeout? If Pope could be as good taking timeouts as he is with the challenges, he wins the challenges, it seems like all the time. His record has to be great. I just don't understand it. Jimmy, let's go to clip number 5. And he uses a word that's, to me, disconcerting when you're talking about what you expect from your basketball team. Clip number 5.
We just got distracted and careless and lost whatever it was that was, we lost our determination to win a catch and deliver a pass. And, we were poor defensively the whole night, but I thought BG was really good. I thought Jasper gave us good minutes, especially in his first rotation, and we just couldn't sustain it.
Wow. So if you're the coach, Jimmy, I want you to scold me. I can't believe I'm saying that to you. If you think I'm being abusive here, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. If you think your team is distracted, shouldn't that be an immediate cause to call a timeout? One more time, I want you all to think about this. You take out your best players. Boom. A&M goes on a run. And they're hitting. And now you get a feeling. I don't know when he got the feeling. He obviously got it. He said it after the game. I hope he got it during the point where he thought they were distracted. But what I don't like about it, didn't do anything about it. If you think you're distracted, do you call a damn timeout? Am I wrong here? Look, Mark is smarter than me. Okay, I don't need to say that. But there are certain things that are simplistic. And there are oftentimes I've seen coaches who are smart, who are really good at what they do, but in the moment, they don't do it well. And I'm questioning if Mark Pope in the moment isn't doing it well. I mean, think about it. Take a step back. I'm not being mean. Jimmy, you just tell me to shut up if you think I'm being mean. I don't have any bad feel. I actually feel bad for him. You got a guy who's super, super, super smart. He said his team is distracted. Two things. If he didn't realize while it was happening, he's not doing his job. Okay? You're not doing your damn job, Mark. And if you did know the team was distracted, why the hell didn't you call a timeout? Yeah, you're blank if you do and blank if you don't. Any coach should get a feel as to a team that gets distracted. By the way, it's going to happen. There's just been too many ups and downs with the season. So if you know your team is distracted, shouldn't you immediately call a timeout? Jimmy, am I being too mean here to Mr. Pope?
No, I feel like that's when you're watching the game, you're asking the same thing. It's like if only there was a tool a coach could use to stop this either distraction or the run to happen. Oh, wait, yeah, there's timeouts. You have a few of them. And that's part of being a great head coach is knowing when to take the timeout. And like you said with Phil Jackson, the Bulls or whatever, some coaches choose to not take a timeout, but that's because they know their team and they know, okay, there's a leader out there on the floor. I don't need to take a timeout because the guy out there on the floor, player X, Y, or Z, he knows how to rally the guys together, or maybe they just shoot each other a look and they go, okay, we got to lock back in. Clearly, this team doesn't have that. And for them to have this 15 or more point deficit against almost every good team that they've played this year, it's just this shouldn't be happening now. Now, if this was happening in November and he didn't call it time, okay, he hasn't figured out the flow of the team. We're here. We're in it. This is way too late.
I'm not saying Kentucky would have won, but I think Pope cost his team last night. Now, is that too strong?
It's hard to argue against it. I mean, it's definitely a factor. I don't know if that specifically did, but it was absolutely a big chunk of it.
Okay, I'm putting you on the stand. You ready?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I just wanted to ask the defendant here, Jimmy, who, by the way, was powerful enough to support a bill that Alan Cutler suggested, and he got it through the legislature. So this is a very powerful man I'm putting on stage here, correct?
Correct.
What would you do if you were an assistant coach and you saw that your boss, the head coach, saw that the team was distracted and he did nothing about it?
That's a tough one. Like in the moment, you would think one of the coaches, which again, that's the job of all the coaches. Maybe Pope is so laser focused on one that he can't really see the distraction happening in real time or whatever. That's when one of the other assistant coaches should feel confident enough maybe to either, if they've got not a signal, like a silencing, but just something to let Pope know, like, hey, maybe we get one here. Let's just regroup here. Just something to let him know, hey, you may not see it, but I see it. We all see it over here. The guys on the bench had to see it too.
I bet the guys on the bench saw it. I bet you're absolutely right.
You can feel it. I'm sure people in the arena felt it.
I have questioned, not a ton of time, but a number of times, how Pope. Look, I'm kind of old school. I'll say, let me admit it. So the baseball geeks that are using stats to do all the lineups and those kinds of things, I can't stand. I think the analytics are smart. I think it helps you. I think if you don't trust your manager to do on a field thing, the analytics don't know if a guy had a bad ankle for a week and now they don't want to play him, but his ankle is better, he can get up and get a base hit. Analytics are a guide. Should be a great guide, but it should be a be-all, end-all. Managers have lost power. They have, because they rely upon statistics. And you're saying, why the hell am I talking baseball? Because I'm talking about Mark Pope. Mark Pope is, Jimmy, if I should pay a fine of $1 to charity every time I say Mark Pope is smarter than me. I need to stop that. Don't you think I need to stop that? People know he's smarter than me. I don't have to do it as a qualifier. Do I have your permission?
Yes, you have my permission.
Mark Pope drives me nuts using these analytics all the time. I don't like it in baseball either. If you don't think your manager of a Major League Baseball team is good enough to take the analytics, use it properly, but then make your own decision, fire the manager. Now, if you're thinking about what I'm going to say, I'm saying fire Pope. I'm not. There is a correlation, though. I don't know why Mark Pope either doesn't use his feel more. How about this, Jimmy? Or does he trust his feel enough?
I think that's
Trust. You don't think he trusts himself?
I think he's in his head too much. It has to be.
Do you think it's possible that Mark Pope doesn't want to make a mistake and go against analytics?
I do think that's a big part of it.
I've wondered that, and I've never said it, never heard anybody else say it. But it's like, I can't be wrong because I'm Mark Pope and I'm so smart. And by the way, if you're suggesting there's ego in this with Pope, stop it. Not. He's total team. Either his assistants are afraid to talk to Mark Pope. And by the way, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you I don't know. Or they're not as smart as I think they are. It's one or the other. You mean to tell me none of those assistants can realize that Owe and Aberdeen shouldn't be on the bench at the same time? You don't think there's a single assistant? Something's wrong somewhere. There's no question about it. Either Pope doesn't see it or he doesn't know how to react. It's one or the other. Because to have this Owe Aberdeen and the substitution pattern, I have former UK players, former UK assistant coach telling me the same thing that I see and you see. It's disconcerting. It's really disconcerting. I'm going to do a couple short things. I want to say congratulations to Dave Baker. I didn't realize it was 37 years. His run on the UK Sports Network was absolutely spectacular. I like the fact that he was allowed to put this out himself, JMI. They're not renewing him for next year, so his 37-year run is over. I sent him a text about respect. He's going to do the show on Monday. It's just an unbelievable run. Also, the fact he's saying this has nothing to do with health, and he's doing a lot of things, obviously, as he has for 1,000 years with WKYT. I think he said he's going to start his 44th year, which is crazy. But tremendous respect for what he's accomplished. Now, good. I got enough time to get this in before the break. You tell me, Jimmy, if you don't think I'm not speaking about these people with kindness. I'm not ripping them. I respect a lot of these people, but there is a problem. When you have a number of people with Mitch Barnhart, by the way, there's going to be a Mitch Barnhart press conference on Friday. There's a release that came out. It's going to be on Friday, and I think it's really smart because I wasn't sure they were going to do a press conference. Because, yesterday he just came out with, this is what we're doing as far as how we feel and stuff like that. It was totally UK produced. And I think that stuff sucks. I just do. Everybody has to use it because that's all you got. That's all you got. Friday, March 6th at 2:30 at the Memorial Coliseum floor. And they're going to honor him and he'll answer questions afterwards. And I bet there's all kinds of great videos. And I bet it's a really big dog and pony show. And it should be. For 24 years, it absolutely should be. So let me ask you a question. I don't care if it's pick a person. Dave Baker, Jeff Pecoro, Christy Thomas, Dick Gabriel, Tom Leach. If I'm forgetting somebody off the top of my head, I apologize. Anybody in town who works on the UK Sports Network. If you're commenting on Mitch Barnhart's career, and if there were issues that you had with Mitch, you can't say it. You're not going to say it because UK has paid you a lot of money. And I'm not being mean to any of these people, not at all. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of these people I respect a ton, and they've had lovely careers. And I'm not doing it to toot my own horn, but I ain't bought and sold by anybody. Just about everybody is. Not everybody. But if you work for the network, you can't be honest. I heard Dick Gabriel say today, hey, I didn't agree with everything that Mitch said, and then compliment him on his career. It was lovely. And it's fine. But if there's something he didn't like, you really think he's going to go into in-depth about it? No. So however you feel about Mitch, and there's good and bad, and there's some great stuff. I mean, Susan Slacks put out a thing about how much, he's meant to her in her life and when she lost her parents and all kinds of stuff. I'll read this. For 22 of my 28 years of UK, I've had the privilege of working with Mitch Barnhart through many ups and downs in my life, including the loss of both my parents. Mr. B and Connie were always there. And there was more. But that's lovely. It's lovely. And I've heard good stories and bad stories about Mitch. You might hear good stories and bad stories about me. But the point is, when all those people who are getting paid by the network comment on Mitch's career, they have to. First of all, they should do whatever the hell they want. But by the same token, too, it's not no filter. That's all. It's not no filter. And I'll throw on more. I was listening to Matt Jones yesterday, and he never mentioned once. He's ripped Barnhart a lot and then said all these wonderful, gracious things about him, and that's all good. It's his show. He can do whatever he wants, however he feels. But what he didn't mention was Jenna Lifshin's tweet. And that's part of Mitch's 24 years, whether anybody likes it or not. By the way, Jenna Lifshin, the assistant editor of the Kentucky Colonel, will be coming on Monday. It's 12:28, but I want to read this again, just because if you missed it, I think it's important. I think you look at what I did yesterday. You think of all the good Mitch did, and you think of stuff he didn't do good, some contracts and hiring, and also this, because it's in his temperature. And Jenna Lifshin put this out yesterday. Mitch Barnhart's retirement comes only a few weeks after the Lexington Herald-Leader published an article detailing an investigation into former assistant cross-country and track coach Hakan DeVries for alleged sexual harassment and stalking. Barnhart is currently involved in an ongoing lawsuit against the University of Kentucky filed by two former swim coaches. According to the lawsuit, the university allowed former coach Lars Jorgensen to foster a, quote, toxic, sexually hostile environment within the swim program. That was a quote in her tweet. Jorgensen was accused of rape and sexual assault amongst the other Title IX violations. That was Jenna Lifshin's tweet. And I got to tell you, if you're doing a complete story, I get on BBN, you can't say anything. Really. They own the time there. And LX18 pays them a lot of money. It's a different relationship. I get it. I'm not ripping anybody. It's business. But just think about how many places, whether you agree with me or not, or somebody else or not, how many different places you can get an honest opinion. Jimmy, did you get a feeling I was not ripping any of these compadres, competitors, media people who there's respect, but I think it gets overlooked by the public too much that they cannot give you an honest opinion. Do you think I was being mean?
No, I mean, it's just it is what it is. And I think most, maybe not everyone, but if you've been around long enough or you pay attention enough, I think you start to realize that people that are so close to certain situations or work within the same company, you can't do it, or they won't do it.
Well, the other thing that's important, those folks are very powerful in the media, and they have a lot of power. And it's a lot of very popular people. And if they don't like them saying it, it's okay. They'll get over it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Anyway, the other thing I was going to say that Matt Jones did not bring up anything that was in Jenna, and he knows about all this, Jenna Lifshin's tweet as part of what he was talking about, the good, the bad, the indifferent. So I know what he's doing. Jimmy, he will get an interview with Mitch Barnhart. I will never get an interview with Mitch Barnhart. It just is what it is. And so he's posturing for an interview, and some good love from UK. God bless. 12:30 is our time. Brandon Ramsey coming up next. Brandon, I'm curious what he thinks of my coaching comment that I will throw at him. And I'm going to suggest that he probably will agree. We'll see. I want to talk about my friends at Quantrell. They have the Cadillacs. They have the Subarus. They've had the Volvos, and we've had 2 Cadillacs. Now we have a Volvo. We have the VC60, the hybrid. We love it. And I keep on saying you get 41 miles before you go to gas. And how many of you drive more than 41 miles a day? So if you do, you use some gas. But it's a beautiful car. It's an unbelievable ride. It is amazing how well this dealership treats people as people. The Quattro family of dealerships is donated to over 50 local charities and events. So consider how they feel about this community and how they have lived in this community and helped this community for a long, long, long time. That's the Quantrell, the Cadillacs, the Subarus, and we have the Volvo. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
March is here, and Clark's Pump and Shop has the game-winning specials to keep you fueled all month long. Whether you're hitting the road to catch a game or hosting a watch party, we've got unbeatable monthly deals. Stop in and pick up assorted M&M or Twix share-size candy bars, 2 for $4, and Mike and Ike's or Hot Tamales stand-up bags, 2 for $7. This March, make every stop a winner at Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth, and we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
We just kind of got a little rattled. And, you just got to do a little better in terms of leaning into each other when it gets tough.
Rattled. It's not August. It's March. Rattled. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I got about 4 things to throw at you now. You're gonna be, Brandon. You better be on your toes. We're going Spitfire today. I'm ticked off at this basketball team, so you're gonna get the brunt of it. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that. Let's do it, Alan.
He's watching him on YouTube. He's rolling up his sleeve.
I'm ready to go too. Let's get after it.
KSR Brandon Ramsey, former coach, whose analysis of Kentucky is great. All right, here we go. One of Pope's sound bites said that the team was distracted. So as a coach, let me ask you a very simple question. When you see that a team is distracted, do you normally give me a yes or no here? You're on the stand. You mind playing this game?
Let's do it. Yes.
Okay. When the team is distracted as a coach, don't you see it as it's happening? Yes or no?
Absolutely. Yeah. That is 100% something that you're going to recognize. I mean, if it's true, you're going to recognize that in the shoot around and walk through and pregame meal, whatever it may be, in the 24 hours or so leading up. But from the time you leave to go to College Station to when you get there and do your preparations, yes, that is something you're going to recognize before the ball gets tipped.
Your Honor, I'm very glad that Brandon Ramsey didn't give me yes or no because it was a lovely answer. So strike the first part of my question to the gentleman on the stand. Okay, Mr. Brandon Ramsey, if you see, and again, what percentage of college coaches do you think understand when a team gets distracted? How quickly?
Oh, I mean, any coach worth their weight would understand that in no time. Like, you can see it in their eyes. They can see it in their mannerisms, the way they're carrying themselves in the locker room, shoot around, whatever it is. You would notice that in 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want you to know this next question to Brandon Ramsey will be pivotal in my case. Let's see how he answers it. If you feel your team is distracted, shouldn't you take a blank timeout?
That would certainly help, or even better, I would probably try to solve it but before it becomes a major issue. But yes, I think that the you certainly would want to nip it in the bud as quickly as possible. 100%.
So if Kentucky was distracted and Pope didn't call a timeout and maybe he was yelling at the guys or something we don't understand with signals, mouth or something, because that stuff goes on, is he not doing his job properly in that moment?
It would be very fair to say that, yes. That would be some negligence.
How often does this happen to Mark Pope?
Well, we've certainly seen this team get on the brunt end of some of these runs. Now, a lot of times it's from a team, getting up 12, 15 points kind of before we have a chance to throw a punch. This time it was obviously after we had already thrown almost a haymaker at them, quite frankly. But yeah, unfortunately, over the course, not just of this year, but over 2 years, we have seen some pretty drastic runs from other teams because that's why we have these ugly stats about being down double figures or 15 points or 20 points or whatever you want to set the benchmark against other high major opponents.
I didn't push you on the word rattled because I was on another tangent, but when Always said the team was rattled, it leaves me almost speechless. It's March.
Well, and I think it's especially, disheartening or frustrating, pick your adjective, whatever you want it to be, when this team has experienced things like that and quite honestly have responded pretty well to it at other times. This was not by far the first adversity that Kentucky has faced this season. Within a game, they have gotten up and relinquished leads and gotten them back. They have gotten down by double figures and came back to win games. So yes, it stinks and it's a punch in the gut and all these things when you're up 12, you have the ball in the air to go up 15, and then boom, it kind of feels like the walls are caving in on you and you're down 12 yourself. But to act like that rattles you, or to act like that just really throws you off at this point in the season, yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can do to help you if in March you're still getting rattled by another team making a run on you.
They had problems playing on Tuesdays after Saturday's game. Are these kids not in shape?
Well, yeah, I mean, that comment probably bothered me more than anything else. And it was funny because Coach Nate Oates in Alabama had a similar question to him, and he pretty much told everybody to grow up if you can't figure out how to play on a Tuesday after a Saturday. And it's like, hey, again, this is March. The last thing I want to hear is that Tuesday after a Saturday is a hard thing for you. Because guess what? Now you're probably going to find yourself playing on Wednesday at the SEC tournament. That means that you could be playing 5 games in 5 days if you accomplish what Kentucky fans want you to accomplish. In the NCAA tournament, you're playing in a 48-hour turnaround, so even quicker. So if Saturday to Tuesday is an issue for you, then March is not the month for you, because you're going to have to be playing a lot more and with a lot quicker turnarounds than that. So yeah, I mean, if there's any truth to that, and that's not just something that we're just kind of throwing out there because you're answering questions, then that is very, very disheartening for the month of March, because that's kind of what the month is all about.
Yep. Substitution. Daryl Bird, general manager, Cat Sports Forever, does a wonderful job on Twitter. 5 assistant coaches and an analytics war room, and Kentucky men's basketball still puts losing units on the floor together. UK needs a get back coach to stop the substitution. You disagree with a word of that? The substitutions continue to drive me nuts.
The substitutions as a whole are frustrating. I will admit that I think in terms of the problems last night, I probably don't throw as much of it as the substitutions as some would, because there were, I mean, it was like a 4 possession stretch where there were 4 starters out. Is that 4 possessions too many? Yes, but the starters were in there for the bulk of when this thing was going wrong, and quite frankly, leading up to that, the bench guys, Jasper, BG, some of those guys had made some excellent plays to build the lead. So in this one instance, personally, I'm probably not going to harp on the substitutions as much as some will, but 100% as a season as a whole, he's not going to exactly get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to substitutions because it has been a problem and just kind of fighting a lineup, sticking with it. It's been haphazard, to say the least, I think, throughout the season.
I have not been a big fan of Brandon Garrison. To me, he just is underachieved because he's a great athlete for his size, and I've made no secret about it. And hopefully, he gets it together, turns into a great basketball player because it's still possible. And then I thought his defense was getting better, but you did something better, Brandon, about a week ago when you pointed out some things he was doing defensively that were really good. I hate it. Hate's too strong. I extremely dislike it. And I've said this many, 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 many times. I can't stand when he shoots a three. Just can't stand when he shoots the three. And I knew you knew he was shooting that one last night before he got the ball. But basketball is basketball. And I'm with the old Green Bay Packers from 1960. When Vince Lombardi, they had like 5-6 plays they ran all the time. Sweep right, sweep left. And they would keep on saying, we don't give a damn if you know what's coming. We're going to punch you in the mouth and we're going to win that way. It's the same 5 or 6 plays. Sweep left, sweep. So, okay. Brandon Garrison, they got shorter guys in A&M, and he makes a couple buckets. You know what I'm saying? Give him the ball again. That was a game for him to get a ton of points. I don't care what. Just keep on feeding him till they have to double him, and then somebody will have a wide open shot. And I'm looking, when he made the second one, that second bucket pretty quick, I'm going, hey, this is really good. This kid is on fire. He is hot. You give the ball to the hot hand. Why did they stop? And I'm not saying the guy he was going against was a midget, but he had an obvious height and size advantage. Yes, Brandon Ramsey of KSR?
100%. I thought that was a big part of the negative turn of events in the first half was, along with giving up some threes, some turnovers, whatever it may be. I felt like the Kentucky was, for some reason, all of a sudden kind of sped up offensively and not getting to what was working early on. That they were attacking the basket, having success at the rim. I mean, Otega Owe is dunking the ball off of back cuts. Brandon Garrison scores under the rim run. Brandon Garrison scores it a couple of times on the roll. Malachi Moreno had a couple interior buckets. Denzel Aberdeen is getting 2 feet in the paint. Kentucky was attacking the rim and using the lack of Texas A&M's size and height against them. And then it seemed like during that stretch when things got away from us, all of a sudden it's jump shots, it's missed threes. There were also some missed layups in there as well. But yeah, I just thought that, unfortunately, especially when the going got tough there, it just would have been nice to kind of come together and try to get something more that looked like what had been working, as opposed to just sort of letting the avalanche take place and all of a sudden the game's gotten away from you.
Can they put a run together? I don't believe they can. And that's the first time I've said it. And that doesn't mean they can't win 3 games in a row. But if you play on Wednesday, they got no shot of making to the championship game. No shot. They have trouble going Sunday to Tuesdays. How the hell are they going to play that many games in a row?
Well, absolutely, yeah. But if they end up playing on Wednesday, can they make it to Friday? Absolutely. Could they maybe make it to Saturday? Maybe. But, no. And honestly, same thing for the NCAA tournament. Can this team still make a Sweet 16? Yes, they can. Can they get probably any farther than that? It would require, that you're playing a 15 seed in the Sweet 16 or something for me to feel like that could actually happen. Because not because they can't beat any of those one teams. It's just that, the progressively playing better and better teams, which is once again what March is all about. The idea of them putting together 2 or 3 progressively more impressive wins in a row in a short period of time. That's just something that I don't see this team doing. They're just not consistent enough.
If you remember, I text you and I was going to surprise you. And now if you don't agree with me, I'll be embarrassed and shocked and probably cry. But don't worry, I'm fine. And so we were texting the other day, and I said, Brandon, sorry, I'm drinking tea with honey in it while I'm trying to talk. Not a very intelligent thing to do for someone who's been on a mic for 50 years. You think after 50 years I would learn something. Aberdeen didn't have a night last night, but I love how he's playing. I thought he was going to be really, really, really good, and I was really, really wrong for a while. And now he has been, until last night in the stretch, even better than I thought. I think he's going to be a pro. At a 6'2" shooting guard, he ain't going to make it. It's just you got to be able to handle the ball, but he can put the ball in the hole. Now, if he was 6'6", 6'5", and not a point, I think he could do it because he plays good defense and he's a shot maker, and I think he'll get better. Here's the point: I got a guy in the NBA who didn't have a sweet tooth going into the NBA, who has been a big surprise. And I said it as soon as I saw him when he played for Patino at Iona, Denarius Jenkins, who at times has been terrific for Detroit. He reminds me of Denzel Aberdeen with his skill set and what he can do. Jenkins is a little ahead offensively, but I think Aberdeen is catching up. Does that analogy make any sense? Or are you going to tell me I've pulled two names out of the hat?
I like it, honestly. I know. I think that's the sort of mold that Denzel would certainly have to get to in order for him to be a pro and to find a role in the NBA. And you're right. He didn't play as well as he's been playing last night, but still, I mean, as the turnovers mount up and all these things, last night, Denzel Aberdeen, 8 assists, 1 turnover. Like, as this team is having turnover issues, it's not the guy that has the ball in his hands more than anybody else. And that's really impressive. And the way that he has taken on this role as a primary ball handler, as a primary distributor, as a playmaker, and doing all of that while shooting a pretty high percentage from 3-point range. That's why you start thinking about what it could look like for him in the NBA, because he's adding all these skill sets. He's become a consistent shot maker. He's become a consistent playmaker. He's playing without turning the ball over, even in a role that wasn't necessarily built for him to begin with, and that he deserves a lot of credit, even through last night, for the way that he continues to play and the way that he's embraced having to kind of be the man of this Kentucky offense. Man, I know Otega Owe has the stats and he'll be the All-SEC guy and all these things, but man, I think if there's one guy I would not want to remove. We've done plenty of removing of guys from this team, but if there's one guy I would not want to still remove, it would be Denzel Aberdeen. He's the heart of this team at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Kentucky's over the quota of losing players. Let's hope they remain over the quota. All right, let me throw this at you. There's a new law in the state. I don't know if you're staying up with news. I'm guessing you're not. I decided to go to my state rep. That happens to be Jimmy. Jimmy's a state rep in Frankfurt. He does that a little bit on the side after all the radio work he does. And I want to have a law that Jimmy's allowing me, since it's my idea to be the first name on the bill. I want my name on the bill, ego, and Jimmy's name on the bill too, that there's a new law in the state of Kentucky under no circumstances in the state, or if the basketball team travels to another state, it is illegal. It is against the law. It is punishable by throwing pumpkin pie or lemon meringue pie in anybody who abuses this law. That'll be the penalty. I think that's a nice penalty. We're not trying to be mean here, right? That you can never, under any circumstance, even for 1 second, allow Owe and Aberdeen to be on the bench together at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think that any of us can really argue with that new law. They're just too important to what Kentucky does offensively. You got to have guys in there that can handle the ball. Have to have guys in there that can attack the rim. And if you don't have at least one, but really both of those guys as much as possible, it has become too hard. And I think that last night there were some possessions in the first half because Denzel had two fouls where that happened, and yeah, I think you just have to either find a way to play Aberdeen more through those fouls, or you certainly have to stagger it so that Owe is in there when he's out, because it can get pretty ugly without those guys in there.
I think this is a state law that at least 90% of my constituents in the state of Kentucky and anybody else listening in different parts of America, and occasionally a couple of people internationally, which I can't get, but unless you're overseas and you're from Kentucky. But anyway, I believe at least 90%, if not more, people are behind my bill, and you never see that in politics, do you?
I think we have some pretty good bipartisan support on this new bill.
That's really good. Okay, so yesterday, Brandon Ramsey, smart guy, I had my dear buddy Doug Barnes, who owns the Poplar franchises in Lexington, Louisville, was an assistant coach. As you know, you come to town, you should meet him. He's a fascinating guy to talk to. And I said this to him. I think even said it on the air. Cal could have used him to help defensively, just to be one of those people as a special consultant assistant. Not that he has that much time, but he would have loved to have done it. And he had suggestions he made on the show that Cal eventually made. Seriously, Jimmy will tell you, it was just kind of eerie. So in my clip of the day yesterday, it was Doug talking about when I said to him before the game, obviously, what Kentucky needed to do to get to the next level. And he started with the word defense, and the whole clip and the whole rant was all about defense. And the defense last night, I thought, sucked. What is Kentucky needed to do if they're going to maybe be something called consistent?
I think so much of it for this team, and at least where my frustrations lie with this team when it comes to defensively, it's urgency when it comes to taking away 3-point shooters. Like I say it a lot in my scouting reports and things leading up to the games. Like, it's okay when you're guarding a 3-point shooter to have a little bit of fear in your heart of that guy getting shots off. And when you're guarding guys like number 9 Dominguez last night, or number 3 Griffin, or number 2 Pop Isaacs, those guys are 40% 3-point shooters coming into this game. They are known commodities, known elite catch and shoot threats. And it just seems like that Kentucky does not have the concentration, the awareness, the urgency, whatever you want to call it, to consistently take these guys away. And then especially once they make one, once they make two, they scoot back a little bit, they make a third one. And it's like, I just want to see a level of fear from some of these guys of like, hey, like, my job is to take away Dominguez from 3. My job is to take Griffin away from 3. And to me, you're just not seeing that from this team. And the proof is in the stats when you see, the attempt numbers that some of these guys get up and then making 13 of them, and a lot of them coming from their best shooters. Like, that is just such a hard way to live, again, especially in the month of March, if you're going to let these other teams' best shooters be so comfortable from beyond the arc.
By the way, the women, number 9, jumped out early on Arkansas, and they've now beating them 94-64. So the ladies play Georgia tomorrow. They are very beatable, and Kentucky might make a little run until they, boom, run into South Carolina. And if you don't beat South Carolina, there's no disrespect. And, Kentucky made it close the other day and had a heck of a fourth quarter against South Carolina. So we shall see. Brandon, you just ticked me off.
Uh-oh.
You just brought up a word that I was saving for monologue at the end of the season, depending upon how it went out. I'm going to use it now anyway. Use the word fear. For a long time, there were teams that feared the University of Kentucky basketball program. I think that word fear is gone. I'm not saying it can't come back. Not saying it can't come back. But it's been gone since longer than Mark Pope, the day he started. It went away under Cal. I think everybody knows it. But now it's a lot of years. And everybody thinks they can beat Kentucky now. You go into Ole Miss, you go into Mississippi State, they think they can beat Kentucky. I remember when I got here, Mississippi State was not even a hard practice for them. Seriously. And they got better. That's fine. But there were a lot of teams like that where the practices that Kentucky had were much tougher than the games. Does anybody fear Kentucky? Are you worried that this program is... Now, look, they can win the SEC and make the Final Four, and you can say this is a ridiculous thing, and my thing will say, okay, they changed, because you can change. So, but as of today, and I hope 5 weeks from now I say that's not true anymore, but as of today, no one fears Kentucky, do they?
No, I would say that is completely true and fair. That you see it. The team has 11 losses. Like, yeah, they have some good moments, but this is just not a team that should be feared. They're the 28th best team in the country. They're the 30th best team in the country, whatever you want to call them. Like, those teams don't instill much fear in anybody. And I think that you're exactly right. It used to come with the territory of, like, playing Kentucky. You knew it was going to be hard to win because you're playing Kentucky. And I think that now it's almost like exciting because you have the opportunity to beat Kentucky, as opposed to almost kind of like this woe and dread of like, oh boy, yeah, we got the Cats tonight. It's going to be really tough. It's like now people are almost kind of excited to take their shot. at Kentucky, and that's a pretty big and important mind shift that's happened over the years. And yes, some of that's obviously a regression from Kentucky. A lot of that is a progression for the rest of the Southeastern Conference. But yeah, there's no fear from anybody when you're playing Kentucky right now.
You know, the sad part is there'll be some teams that Kentucky's beat up for a long time that they can't wait to get a chance to get at Kentucky, and that's called competition.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it worse. All right, so how's this thing going to end? They're going to beat Florida. They're going to go on a run. I mean, what do you see for this team? Mr. Brandon Ramsey, who does a great job analyzing basketball.
I think at this point we've learned that like whatever you think is going to happen, probably predict the opposite a little bit. Once you think you have this team trending in the right direction, they're going to lose. When you think that everything's gone to crap, they're going to win. Are they going to beat Florida? No. Florida's just on a different level. Even with them having the SEC locked up, they are probably still playing for a number one into a tournament seed a little bit. I don't think that we can beat Florida. Can you win a couple games in the SEC tournament? Yes. Can you win a game or two even in the NCAA tournament? Yes. I think those things will still happen. If I had to just lay it all out there, let's say you lose to Florida, let's say you win 2 in the SEC tournament, and we'll lose in the round of 32. I think that's probably where I'm going to put things right now.
Would you then say Kentucky, I got about 30 seconds. If that is a pattern, Kentucky is just another team, or is that being too harsh? Because the standards are so high here because the excellence of the program has been spectacular, but it's not now. It's just not.
Yeah, I mean, the pattern now goes back, 5-6 years, and if it continues, then absolutely, yeah. Then what have you done for me lately? Like if you put together a decade of not being a feared program, then you're no longer a feared program. That you are what the results say you are, and if you're consistently a Sweet 16, round of 32, round of 64 team, then there's nothing special about being Kentucky. Just having the word on the front of your jerseys only means so much for so long.
Said, nothing lasts forever. The Roman Empire didn't. And I'm not saying it can't come back because I do think it can come back. I really do. Yeah, but right now, it's not there. Brandon Ramsey, KSR, give a plug for everything you do. And your partner in crime is on the show in about 3 minutes.
That's right. I saw that. You can follow me on Twitter at BRamseyKSR. All the written work goes on KentuckySportsRadio.com. Also host a YouTube show with your upcoming guest, Zach Gagan, on the Kentucky Sports Radio YouTube channel, Zoom Action. So go subscribe to that. You can subscribe to the Brandon Ramsey College Basketball Show YouTube channel as well. And again, all that work and throughout March gets promoted through my Twitter at BRamseyKSR.
Hey, dude, your answers are always good. You were grand slam today.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, dude.
Absolutely.
Have a good day. See you. Brandon Ramsey, KSR. His analysis was great. He was bullseye.
Yeah, the breakdown he did of the game last night. He's got 2 different little breakdowns with some bullet points. Incredible recap of the game. His brain is awesome.
He's I don't have an idea what, but I think there's first of all, what he's doing well. That's fine. But I think there's a bigger opportunity out there. I really do. I can see him becoming much bigger in the business. And as I've told him, I appreciate that he always makes time for us. Plus, he's a really good dude. And how about this? Jimmy, think about it. He's a kid in a candy store. Everybody who does what they love to do, and that's what they spend time doing it, I always think those are the smartest people, whether your IQ is like Mark Pope or anybody else's. They're just really smart. And he's doing exactly what he wants. And you're doing exactly what you want because you're spending a little time with me. I know that was so big in your life.
Yes, it was and still is.
You keep this up, and I'm going to wish your nose grows every time you lie to me so you'll have a hunker as bad as mine.
It might start growing here soon.
Zach Kagan coming up next. Terry Page. Terry Page. Not a very good, a great licensed massage therapist. New offices. She moved to a bigger place. 820 Porter Place, Suite 3. 820 Porter Place, Suite 3, off for Sales Road. You go to the end of the road and you park in back of the building. There's an entrance there, obviously. In Butler, Kentucky, Monday and Tuesdays. In Lexington, Thursdays and Fridays. She's been, as you hear me say every day, spectacular for me. Check her out. Use my name. Text or call again an appointment, 859-373-0578. Zach Kagan coming up next, the partner of Brandon Ramsey. I'm sure he'll be just as good. Put the pressure on him, huh? Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth, and we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
March is here, and Clark's Pump and Shop has the game-winning specials to keep you fueled all month long. Whether you're hitting the road to catch a game or hosting a watch party, we've got unbeatable monthly deals. Stop in and pick up assorted M&M or Twix share-size candy bars, 2 for $4, and Mike and Ike's or Hot Tamales stand-up bags, 2 for $7. This March, make every stop a winner at Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
W223CV Lexington.
ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5, WLXG Lexington, and LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Well, Tuesday hasn't been kind to us, so it's something we got to fix because we're going to play. We're not going Saturday, Tuesday. We're going, day after day after day. So it's something we have to address and we have to fix and we got to get better at. And it's time now. It's winning time, and so we have no choice but to get better at it. We have to get over a win, get over a loss. We've actually been good at getting over losses. We haven't been great at getting over wins. We got to get over a win and get back to work, and now we get to do it, pretty soon here. We get to do it in 24 hours. We have a massive game Saturday, and then from then on, it's 24 and 48-hour turnarounds, and we can do it. We can do it. We just didn't do it today.
Ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. What the hell is with Tuesday? We'll ask someone who better know what Tuesday is. Probably knows better than me. Zach Kagan, kind enough to join us. KSR also co-hosts the podcast with Brandon Ramsey, who's just on. You guys are taking over my show, which makes me very happy, by the way. So what the hell happened last night, Zach? Come on.
Man, I really don't know. I think the most interesting parts about the whole game came in the post game when Brandon Garrison was talking about how they seemed to relax after they got up on a 30-18 lead. That sentiment was kind of shared by Pope and Ortega and Mo in their post game press conferences, which that might be the most concerning thing about all this is we're 30 games into the regular season now, and the postseason starts next week, and it doesn't seem like this team can be fully locked in for stretches of games at a time, and you just played that bit about Pope with the fatigue and talking about that. If they want to win this SEC tournament or make a deep run, you're going to have to play probably 4 games in a row, potentially 5 games in 5 days, depending on how this last game on Saturday goes. So, man, that was a tough way to lose that one. Knowing how it all started and then kind of how the aftermath of it has unfolded. But, the one thing that Pope said in there is, we've been really good at overcoming losses, not good at overcoming wins. So, and that's proved to be true, at least throughout most of this season. So we'll see what happens on Saturday against Florida. Like I would not be shocked at pretty much any result either way. And thanks for having me on as well. Love joining your show, Alan.
Oh, thanks for doing it, dude. You know what I wonder? Okay, come on. Some of you guys got spies. I'm too old. If I sneak in a building, you don't think anybody will spot me with all my white hair. But Zach, you're young. And you know what? God bless you. Okay, you're older than you look. So you could sneak into practice to be a fly on the wall, find out what's going on. You know what I want to know, and I know you want to know this. Shh, 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 don't tell anybody. I want to know if Pope is a different Homo sapien. I want to know if he's a different coach. I want to know if he's different, the practice after a loss versus a practice after a win. I would love to know that. If somebody out there knows, just quietly let me know. Because I wonder if he approaches the guy differently. I mean, some of the guys who played for Patino, they're not kidding around. They were scared sometimes when they won because they didn't win the way he wanted. And when they lost, they sometimes will admit they might have won a few games because they didn't want to deal with Patino's crap after a loss. Is Pope kumbaya all the time? Is he different? I have no idea. But I'm looking for an answer why they suck so bad after winning some and then how they can be so much better after like a stink joint like last night. Come on, Zach, can you sneak into practice?
Hey, I'd love to. I'd love to be able to sneak in there and be a fly on the wall for just like 30 minutes and kind of see how it all goes. But they started off what was the score? It was 30-18 in the first 12 minutes of the game. So, it's not like they had this big, massive hangover where we've seen a lot of the time earlier in the middle of the SEC season where they would get down immediately. Like that was the whole thing with this team is they couldn't figure out how to how to avoid these bad starts. Then it felt like they kind of broke that curse over the last however many games, even in the losses, like they weren't necessarily just getting blown out early on. So for that to happen and then to just let Texas A&M shoot a bunch of threes and Kentucky was even turning the ball over a bunch in that when they were up 30-18. They had like 4 or 5 turnovers early on, but they were just shooting the ball really well, going over top the A&M press, and then whatever happened, like I have no idea. I can't explain. Like Coach Pope couldn't even explain in the press conference. He said if I knew the answer to all the inconsistencies, like we wouldn't be in this position. So I don't even think he's quite sure what's happening with the game by game inconsistencies at this point. I mean, we're only 4 days removed from a shellacking of a ranked Vanderbilt team, and then to go and kind of lay a stinker like that one in the final 28 minutes, it does kind of make you wonder a little bit like what's going on behind closed doors that makes it so this type of stuff happens. And even at the halftime of yesterday's game, the ESPN announcers kind of mentioned how Kentucky came out with like 6 minutes left, still in the halftime clock. They were, Texas A&M was still shooting off the t-shirt cannon into the crowd when the guys were out there trying to shoot. So obviously it was a quick halftime pep talk that didn't go quite well because Kentucky just continued to get down and down, as many by 21 points a few times before making, that last ditch effort in the final couple minutes. So I don't know. I don't think anyone really has the answer for that right now. And when you've only got one regular season game left, that's quite concerning, I think, kind of to say the least.
I'm going to give you something else that I think what you're saying is concerning is boom, absolutely correct. I'm going to give you something else and you tell me which is worse. Okay. Pope used the word distracted. So I did this in my monologue. Then I threw it at Brandon, your buddy, the coach, who agreed with me 100% and took it even further. Actually used stronger words than I used, which surprised me. But here's what bothers me. And I could ask him this way because he's a coach. I'm not, you're not. But I said, as a coach, because this is the word Pope used, and you already know this, distracted. As a coach, if you see your team is distracted, do you notice right away? And Brandon said what you can already guess. He said, any coach worth their salt, I don't care if you're a transient, I don't care if you're at Scott County High, I don't care. You should know if your team is distracted or something is wrong. That you're with these kids every day. If you don't know, you shouldn't be the damn coach. I'm not saying fire Pope, but I'm saying Pope said they were distracted. And I've watched games, and I'm not the only one who had the thought, will you please call a damn timeout? So you got a bunch of kids who are really good shooters who haven't been shooting well that all of a sudden start feeling it, which is a problem if they start feeling it. And he's sitting on his, not calling a timeout. It was driving me nuts. And I said, was it bad coaching? And Brandon Ramsey said, yes, because you got to do whatever you can or try to stop it before you take a timeout, but to do something. Take a timeout. Do you have timeouts? You don't want to go home with timeouts? And that was a pivotal part of the game because it was basically a 1-point game in the second half. Kentucky had one more. That's superfluous. But if you're distracted and you don't take a timeout, what the hell's wrong with the coach?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we're not the coaches here, so Brandon would know best on that one. And he had a long, lengthy tweet, maybe a handful of tweets this morning, kind of explaining moments when he thought, it might have been a good opportune time for Pope to call timeouts. But like that run ended up going 27-3 and then ended up being 36-6. I mean, it gets to a point where, it's not necessarily about calling the timeouts and things like that. It's just the fact that Kentucky was hand down, man down, just letting guys shoot wide open threes. Like, sometimes they were a couple feet behind the line, but you're letting a guy in Dominguez who was shooting like 23% from three over the last however many games comes in and just lights you up and pretty much sparks that whole run. And a lot of that was just, a lack of attention to detail on defense where you're just kind of halfway putting your hand up, not really trying to make a full contest. That's something Brandon and I have even talked about recently with this team. Like, a lot of fans like to say, like, Kentucky opponents love to come into Rupp and just shoot the lights out. And this wasn't even Rupp, but like that's kind of true with this team, but it's not necessarily about the venue. It's just the fact that Kentucky kind of, for whatever reason, allows teams to have clean looks and good shots. Rylan Griffin as well was getting clean looks a couple feet behind the line because Kentucky just wasn't pressing up tight enough, or just they were going under screens. So, the timeouts or whatever, like, I think, Pope can call them whenever he wants. And, there was some push or some talk about the rotations and the lineups and all that. Like, Aberdeen and Otega Owe were only out of the game for 70 seconds kind of during that moment when they went on their 27-3 run. So it's not, and there was only a 6-0 run for Texas A&M. So it's not like it was a massive lineup situation. Like, it wasn't a lineup issue or rotation issue, at least from my perspective, or even a timeout issue necessarily. Like, I do agree with what you and Brandon were saying about that, but at some point it just becomes it's on the players too to, like, maybe that's poor game planning from the top down, whatever it is, but you got to be able to just defend guys and not give them open threes and open lanes and turn it easy bad turnovers, just kind of the unforced miscues. Like, it kind of is, it works both ways with both the player and the coach. And yeah, it was very frustrating. So I'm getting a little riled up about it as well, Alan.
Never seen you this riled up. Go, Zach. You're on a roll, dude. Go do it. The word you used, relaxed, really ticks me off because I have a thought that I can't believe is true that I have seen with teams before. A team will win a ton of games in a row and they get a little soft. And you've heard that line, coaches don't use it like they used to because there's not many teams winning that many games in a row, it seems like, then in the good old days. But, we needed this loss. Maybe, Nolan Richardson, I swear to you, after he got knocked out of the SEC tournament, I caught him on the side and I said, what do you think? On camera, he said, maybe my guys will listen to me on Monday. And they won the national championship that year. So sometimes there is something to a loss. But it's not like Kentucky's won 19 games in a row or 18 games in a row or 12 games in a row. Is it possible that the way you said the word relax, I knew it was out there, but the way you said, you really got to me, Zach. And I'm saying, if they're relaxed, are they fat cats after they beat Vandy? Like they think they've arrived and they can be soft and they can relax? These kids aren't good enough to relax. They're not good enough to relax. They have to be. These are not stupid kids. They can't relax. Could they be fat cats? Oh my, I feel like I need to wash my mouth out with soap. It's such a terrible thought on a bad season like this. Dad, don't tell me I need to wash my mouth out.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the word that was, Brandon Garrison said that a couple of times, and it did kind of shock me when he actually used that. And maybe I'm just kind of looking into it too much, just a kid on radio trying to rationalize a loss like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is something to it. Like, they came out with so much energy in that Vanderbilt game, like made it a point to try and get all the revenge that they had in the post game and the pregame press conferences going into that Vanderbilt game. Pretty much all the players said something along the lines of how Vanderbilt kind of called out their physicality and their toughness in that first game back in Nashville. So it was obviously that stuck with them going into this one, and maybe they just didn't have some sort of extra motivational factor. Maybe they need that. The Arkansas game, maybe there was some extra motivation from last year of how that all went, so they had a little bit of more of a chip on their shoulder going into that one this year, and that's how they were able to pull that off. But then I don't know. I'm kind of getting at a loss for words with this team because I don't think.
But hang on, it's an interesting point. You're basically saying they needed some extra inspiration to get the gumption up, and if that's true, that's another part that's kind of equal to the word relaxing. They need the extra gumption. We just beat the crap out of Vandy. We think we're going to be really good, so we're pretty good, and they relaxed a little bit. No, you got A to B to C. And I usually get to F, fail. No, let me change topics on you.
Yeah.
You're going to give me a no filter answer. One of the things I've said, and not to be disingenuous or rip, and a lot of wonderful broadcasters in this town, but anybody who gets paid by UK, you do not. Anybody who gets paid by UK and gives opinion about Mitch Barnhart, they can't give everything that they feel. I'm not suggesting that many of them think it's been really negative. I'm not thinking that, but I am saying that there were some things I know each one of the people who comment didn't like, but they're not going to say it because they get paid by UK. So just think of, all the people from Dave Baker, who I mentioned before. He's no longer going to be with the UK Sports Network, and he had an unbelievable run, and respect to Dave. Tremendous respect to Dave. What a run. What a run. The point is, I don't care. It's Chrissy Thomas, Dick Gabriel, Jeff Pecoro, Tom Leach. I don't care. Anybody who gets paid by UK. And I have a lot of respect for all these people. I'm not taking a negative shot. You can't. They are so powerful combined in this town, as everybody has different powers, okay, that their opinion of Mitch has to be biased publicly because they're getting paid by UK. You agree with that, one? And two, give me your answer to the first one as you go, and then give me a few lines as to how you think the 24 years, wait a second, was Mitch the athletics director? You were born when Mitch became athletics director, right? You're probably 2 years old.
Yeah. I was about to be born at that point. No. He's been around. I think it's 24 years. That is right. So,
okay. So one, do you see how, if you're working for UK, and I don't care if you're working for Nebraska, given an opinion of a very respected in a lot of circles athletics director, it's biased.
Yeah. Well, can you rephrase that question for me? I'm trying to process what exactly you're asking.
Anybody with Dave Baker, Dick Gabriel, Christy Thomas, Jeff Pecoro, Tom Leach, they're all getting paid by UK. Okay. So if you're getting paid by UK and you're asked to give a comment about Mitch Barnhart, it has to be slided towards the positive side, because if you're feeling some negativity, that doesn't mean they don't think he did a really good job. But you might be more open in saying, well, this was really good, but this didn't work, and all those kinds of things. And you're not going to get really honest opinions. You can't, because they're getting paid by UK. I'm not ripping them, but I think the public gets swayed too much by people who get paid by UK.
Yeah. I mean, I think objectively that's probably accurate. Like, that's just kind of how the way the world works. Like, I'm not going to go out and say a bunch of bad things about all or any KSR members, like those guys are all my friends and I work with them and I like them. So it's kind of in that same vein, like works the same way. And I understand, like, because Mitch Barnhart did do a lot of great things for UK, and I do have like a lot of positives to say about Mitch Barnhart, because I'm someone that is like big on supporting the secondary sports, the Olympic sports, like building those up, winning titles with those sports, like putting money and effort into volleyball and the baseball team, and then even on further down, like the rifle team and things like that. Like, I'm big onto having those sports be good and be active, because I think we're probably inching closer and closer to a world where those sports are probably going to start getting cut a little bit more, just because of how NIL and revenue sharing is working. But kind of the counter to, so like, that's what I like about all the stuff he did, because I know that there's a big portion of the Big Blue Nation that couldn't really care less about, or couldn't care less about those sports and the non-football and non-basketball sports, and I genuinely do, because I've covered a lot of them myself. So I have a lot of great respect for all the work that he did for that. But at the same time, you have to, the way you fund those sports and those programs is by having productive and winning basketball and men's basketball and football programs. And objectively, that just hasn't necessarily been the strong suit for Kentucky over the last however many years. And that falls under his leadership and under his guidance. So he's the one that's going to get the blame for that. And that's kind of how it should be. Like, that's just how the world works, is if you're the guy up top, you're going to get blamed for any shortcomings. So I think it was time to probably move on from Barnhart and go into this new world and try and find somebody who can really, pour all this money, pour a lot of effort into the football and men's basketball teams. Part of me is worried that the next person maybe won't think as highly of the secondary and Olympic sports, and we can see those go to the wayside. I really hope that doesn't happen. But there's going to be a lot of, this is a popular school to want to try and be an AD for. So they're going to get a lot of good candidates. I guess I personally would like to try and see them maybe go with an outside hire, bring in someone new, someone that doesn't necessarily have a bunch of, immediate UK connections. I don't know if that's the route that they want to go, or if that's the route they're even looking at. But I think trying to get like a young, fresh mind to really try and bring yourself into this new era, because you can get left behind very quickly, and we're kind of already seeing that, not necessarily with Kentucky, but schools all around the country. Like it is happening. So that's I hope that's me answering your question how you wanted it to, because I do have obviously some, I think a lot, pretty much all UK fans have some sort of negative things to say about Bitch Barnhart, but I do want to try and credit him for some of the good stuff he did, because I do think that there were a lot of good, and then there is the murky stuff with the lawsuits and things like that. Like that's a whole other thing as well that should be kind of baked into his career and how you reflect on it. But yeah, so hopefully I answered your question there in some sort of accurate way for you.
Not only that, but I spoke about the lawsuits yesterday, and I gave credit to Jennifer Lifton, who put the tweet up, and she's coming on the show on Monday. And I've talked about those things in the past, but it's interesting she put it up now, which made perfect sense. Suggesting, is it possible that's the reason why I retired? I have no idea. I'm not going to suggest. She didn't either, but there's a way of, you do this too. You can craft words to make you think without saying what you might be thinking, but you're not sure what you're thinking, but you're inferring to and guessing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and also sometimes I just talk and hope that I figure find the words along the way as well.
Give yourself a great plug, Zach. That was a great line.
Yes, follow me on KentuckySportsRadio.com. I'm on Twitter at ZGagan, KSR. Gagan is GeoGheGan. As we've already kind of touched on, I do a Zoom action podcast. It's our basketball breakdown show on our KSR YouTube channel. I do that with Brandon Ramsey. We'll do an episode either on Thursday or Friday going over that Texas A&M game. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun. Joking on that, obviously, but yeah, so we've got a lot of fun stuff in store, and hopefully we can cover a real fun postseason for Kentucky. I know the women's team just picked up their first win today, so hopefully the men's side can get their self rolling as well, going into Saturday and beyond.
Zach, thank you, brother. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Alan.
Be
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
And remember, see if you can sneak into practice to find out if Mark Pope is different as a coach after a loss and a win. I'm just curious minds.
I'm curious too. I'd love to just roll in there one day and see what happens.
Dude, you can get away with it. You look like a college student.
Well, I'll take it. I appreciate it, Alan. Seriously.
I look like Rip Van Winkle. See you, Zach. Thank you, dude.
Later. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Jimmy, don't you think he can get away with it?
He absolutely could. He'd probably need to put a hat on, because he has very good hair, and I feel like his hair might be recognizable at this point. So if he puts a little hat on, maybe pulls it a little low, I think he could absolutely get away with it. 5th-year senior at UK, yeah.
Yeah. Like yesterday, the whole monologue changed after I planned stuff. Well, it did today too. Would you cue up Dr. Todd's comment? And so Dr. Todd and a soundbite by LEX18, I hope I'm pronouncing Noah's last name right. Noah Zierson, young guy who's a really aggressive, smart hustler, got a soundbite from the former UK president about the hiring of Billy Gillespie when many wanted John Calipari hired. This is the soundbite. Give LEX18 the credit.
I do want to say that I will take credit for the Billy Gillespie hire. I know that's one thing people complain about with him, but that was on me. When Tubby left and went to Minnesota, Mitch called me and he said he wanted to hire John Calipari. I said, Mitch, we just got off of 3 years probation. I want to try to rid Kentucky of being on probation every decade like we've been. I've heard about Calipari, I've read some stuff, and I just don't feel comfortable. Everybody said we're just back where we used to be. So we didn't hire him. We hired Billy instead. But after 2 years, it was clear that wasn't working out. And so we let Billy go. Mitch called me again, and he said, I know how you feel about Calipari, but he said he lost his game tonight. He's going to stay in a hotel here in Chicago until you come up and ask him any questions you want to ask him. He said, you're willing to do that. He said, I've talked to NCAA. They would be okay if we hired him. Sandy Bell's talked to SEC. They'd be okay if we hired him. And he said, I can get us an airplane out of Evansville so nobody knows we're going anywhere. We'll land in Midway. We'll go to the Chicago hotel and you can meet him. Spent 3 hours with John in the hotel and really had misunderstood who he was as a person. and we came back and made the offer to him. And so the Billy story was my deal.
That's former President Lee Todd. Thank you, LAX team, for getting it. I'm going to be really careful here. I'm going to say this slow, too. I'm not calling Lee Todd a liar. If you get anything in here from what I'm about to say that I'm saying it, it's not in my heart. It's not what I'm about to say. I believe then that Sandy Bell, the compliance director, had a ton to do with making sure that Cal wasn't hired the first time. I believe that Mitch had some lukewarm feelings because of some things that happened at UMass and at Memphis with Rose and Camby. I absolutely believe that. It's in my book. I'm the one that told John Calipari he wasn't getting the job. And I'm just coming clean. If I've made a mistake, I have no problem. I'm not sure I did, even after all this. Until this, there was no doubt in my mind because based where I got my information. But I believe that Mitch didn't want him here. I also believe that Todd didn't want him here. And I think what Todd might be doing is taking, as an executive, the credit or blame for that. It's fascinating. You know, with history, at times, things become revisionist. And I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I just think there's more to the story. A blanket statement like this. Nope. One other thing. The new job that Mitch has, which is fascinating, going to help out young people with their careers. He's moving out of the athletics director's office into a different building. It's called, I've never heard of this, Jimmy, Executive in Residence of the UK Sport and Workforce Initiative. It's designed to help prep students for their careers in sports and related fields. I got to be honest, I have no idea what a job like this should pay. And I guess in reality, whatever they're willing to pay you, it's what it's worth. But I freaked. I don't know about you, Jimmy, but I freaked when I saw that he's making $950,000 a year for a couple of years, plus benefits, which include all kinds of tickets. I do know this. It's ticked a lot of people off. Jimmy, just give me a reaction when you saw the $950,000. And by the way, should it be six figures? He's an executive.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what do you think? I'm going to say, oh, I think Mitch should make $50,000. No. If they said $250,000, I probably would have said, okay. Now, who am I? But I've been doing this for a long time. It'd be my opinion. But Jimmy, when you saw $950,000 a year, plus all those tickets, what was your first thought?
That was a huge. I backed away from the computer and said, whoa.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's, you know, they gave him kind of like I would look at it as like a sweetheart deal. Like, hey, you've been here for 24 years. You're not the AD anymore. We're going to keep you around. I had never heard of this position. I don't know what that position would do, but just looking just administratively, how many other people on that level are making that much? Like, how do you think all the other tenured professors that are, you know, at the top of their field as a professor, they can't even be, you know, an eighth of that salary.
If that they would put on social media what they feel about stuff, they probably get fired. Yeah. I want to read a quick tweet from a friend, Craig Brogdon. He and his lovely wife, they own Mockmore Hall. I've been out there many times doing stories. It's a beautiful farm, just an absolute beautiful farm. And he says, you ready for this, Jimmy? Do you get $1 million golden parachute when you retire? As a parent of 2 UK students who pays these obscene contracts, this is a shocking use of student and parents' funds. The Board of Trustees should be embarrassed, especially after the Cal and Stoops contract. And I even said I might use it today, and he basically said, "Go for it." Well, I don't have to ask permission if it's on Twitter. But Jimmy, what do you think? I think there's a lot of parents like that. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking at like the job duties. It almost seems, this is me not really knowing the ins and outs, but almost just like he's a consultant or an advisor for other people within that department as well. So I don't know. That's a huge salary, but the golden parachute of $1 million is a great way to put it.
It's a great line. By the way, Craig and Carrie Brogdon, especially, we became really good buddies, especially with Carrie. She's an unbelievable promoter of horses, and I probably did at least 3 Derby stories. So I'm biased towards the family, but Jimmy, that has not a damn thing to do with why I'm reading this at all. It's crazy. I would think this is kind of a majority opinion. I really do. I really, really, really do. But how do you compare this to anything? $950,000?
Yeah.
A year? It's not like the tickets he's getting are chopped liver either.
Yeah, but I did see he does have to give up his 2 full-size automobiles that he had before as the AD. So, he is taking a step down.
I'll get through this, Jimmy. I will get through this. And by the way, I don't think for a second, whether he was working for UK or not, that the president wouldn't use him as a sounding board talking to people. And the truth is, it'd be foolish not to. He's got 24 years experience, right? He's very respected across the country. There's good and bad. You got to point out the good, and I've been pointing out the good. But Jiminy Christmas, yeah, I'm not going to be part of athletics. Really? They used to be a phone call away. I guess now you say a cell phone call away. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist, Ramon Carriega. Blue Lotus Health, not too far from the radio station. Check it out. Use my name. He's been great for me. Ramon Carriega, 859-533-0914, Blue Lotus Health. Talking baseball with the great Hal McCoy coming up next.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. The hybrid, we love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth, and we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
March is here, and Clark's Pump and Shop has the game-winning specials to keep you fueled all month long. Whether you're hitting the road to catch a game or hosting a watch party, we've got unbeatable monthly deals. Stop in and pick up assorted M&M or Twix share-size candy bars, 2 for $4, and Mike and Ike's or Hot Tamales stand-up bags, 2 for $7. This March, make every stop a winner at Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Third at bat for Myers, and pretty much the way Terry Francona has done it so far this spring. Oh, this ball is killed. I mean, way out of left field. Out of the park. So you're going to have to reach down.
Center field.
This tag.
McCormick looking up. That is crushed.
Did that go over the batters? Yeah, surely not.
We're talking baseball. Klazuski, Campanella talking baseball. The man and Bobby.
This song and this gentleman just lift my spirits. Talking baseball with the Hall of Famer in Cooperstown. The one, the only. Read him on Facebook. My buddy, Mr. Hal McCoy. Hello, Hal.
Hello, Alan. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. You did an amazing thing. I hope I'm not breaking your trust here. I don't think so, but you got a chance to roll your own Dominican cigars, the real deal?
Yes, I absolutely did. I was on a tour to a cigar factory, and they permitted me to sit down with one of the rollers, and he showed me how it's done, and I rolled my own cigar. And people keep asking me, well, you still have it, don't you? I said, that baby was gone in 30 minutes.
That would have been my answer. I wouldn't have said 30 minutes, which I should have, but my thought was it didn't last a day.
Nope, absolutely not. I took care of it in a hurry. It was very, very fun.
I bet it was. I know you saw the news this morning. Hunter Green is dealing with an elbow problem. How concerned are you if you're a Reds fan?
What a shock. Hunter Green hurt. That's been the bane of his existence, and I am not surprised. And if I, being a Reds fan, would be very concerned. Fortunately, the Reds rotation is well stocked with a bunch of very good arms. They've got like 7 solid candidates, so somebody can step in. But him being the number one guy, there has to be concerned. Elbow problems, look out for Tommy John.
Yeah, when you start saying an MRI on your stiff right elbow. Look, I've said this many times, and I don't understand it. He can throw 102 miles an hour. I'm not a pitching coach, don't play one on TV. But if you can throw 192, how about throwing 96 or 97 and get a little more movement and don't tax your elbow? And by the way, Jimmy will tell you, I've said this many, many times about him. Many, many times with him because, he's a big, strong man, but the body can only take so much. And when you start to throw 102 miles an hour, which is crazy, you don't need to throw 102 miles an hour. So, yeah, I just wonder why someone hasn't gotten to him about saying, not only might you last a lot longer, but if you can't get guys out with 96, 97, 98 miles an hour, how the hell good are you?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. And I think with him, it might be an ego thing. He wants to throw over 100 miles an hour on his fastball and light him up. But it takes its toll, and it has done it over and over again. But he obviously has not learned his lesson. I have seen him pitch on days when he didn't hit 100, and he would hit, as you say, 97, 98, and still get hitters out. You don't have to throw 100 to do it. Just ask Greg Maddux.
That's funny you should say it. I saw a video the other day of him, popped up on Twitter, where he talked about he used to be able to throw 95. He couldn't get anybody out. And I'm having trouble believing that Maddux could throw 95, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
But how many times did you see him throw a fastball at 84 miles an hour on the outside corner at the knees, and he struck a guy out with an 84 or 85 or at times 86 mile an hour fastball?
Location. That's what it's all about. And that's the other thing with well, I've noticed with Hunter Green, too often those 102 mile an hour fastballs are right down Broadway and they get hit. It's all about location.
Now, Hal, I would never suggest or questioning anything the Reds did. You know that, right? I mean, I would never be sarcastic here, right?
I would be surprised if you weren't, but go ahead.
Jimmy, I think Hal's suspicious of me right now for probably good reason. Okay, so the UCL in his elbow is damaged. Now, to what degree, I don't know, and I don't know what it means with the surgery, at what point, and I'm not going to someplace I don't know, but it's not a good thing. But here's the part that is driving me nuts. He's dealing with an elbow issue that dates back to the end of last season.
And they didn't do anything about it.
Well, I guess there's a thought process. Sometimes the guy doesn't want a surgery and you let it heal on his own. I don't know that. I'm guessing that. But the fact you had all this time and this was last year, help me, Hal. Help me explain
Makes
that.
No sense.
This is not
I can't help you. I can't help you because we can't help him. If he I don't know what advice he got. If he got any advice, I'm like you. I'm in the dark on what transpired. But if he had issues with the UCL at the end of the year, first thing I do is make sure I get it taken care of. Those things don't often heal on their own.
By the way, I'm reading this from the SI.com, written by, I don't know this person, Zach Presnell, but it just looks like it's pretty, a couple quotes slapping a story together is what it looks like. Here's the part that bothers me even more. Not only was he dealing at the end of the last season, but it popped up in the off season.
Yeah. Probably, when he's throwing in the off season, he thought by resting it would go away, and he throws in the off season and it pops up and it's still there. Now it's too late.
Let me correct a little bit here. Okay, toward the end of last season, in his final 5 or 6 starts, that's a long start to have it, long time period to have an elbow problem. He had discomfort. The playoff push, so he pushed through it, which is what he told Charlie Goldsmith. Then he said he felt fine in the offseason. He got an injection. But a week before training camp started, the discomfort came back. And I noticed, and so do you, I don't know what day he started, but these guys are always throwing way before they go to spring training just to get their arm loose and stuff like that. So
right.
I guess they decided to have an injection. It didn't work. This is awful.
I know. It's terrible. I suspected something was wrong when he didn't pitch early in spring training.
I was listening to a show in Cincinnati that speculated that one of the reasons they got lit up because he didn't like how the balls and strikes were being called and was trying to throw differently. And I went, huh? I like one of the people involved. I'm going to not say who it was because maybe they know more than I do about that. I don't follow the Reds like that. And I'm going, really? You're going to change how you throw because the new fake umps can override it? You're going to have to deal with that. I don't have any idea. Anyway, I kind of like
a recipe. That's a recipe for disaster when you change your mechanics for that kind of reason.
Could hurt yourself even more. He was trying to throw the ball a little differently to try to get the strikes.
Yes.
We're talking about the percentages of high strikes and low strikes, and I need to I know more about it, but I'm going, high strikes, low strikes, just call it a damn strike if it's a strike and call it a damn ball if it's a ball.
That's right.
Do you like this team?
Yes, very much. Yeah, it's, losing Hunter Green won't help, but like I said, they still have enough depth in the rotation, and I love what Matt McClain is doing. That is a key to this season, and he is tearing it up right now. I know it's only spring training. You don't get too excited about spring training, but it's better than him going 1 for 20. He looks like he's ready to go, and hopefully he doesn't waste it all right now, but he's on fire.
And if he was 1 for 20, he might have lost his job because there's been all kinds of rumors, and the Reds have been trying to protect themselves, even though they were. I applaud the Reds for being patient with him, and they have been patient with him. But I couldn't agree with you more. Here's the other thing: I love Sal Stewart, and Hal. I'll bet you Stogie he gets 25 home runs this year if they allow him to bat 550 times.
I would take that. I would not take that bet because I think you're absolutely right. What he showed, late last year, and what he's shown in spring training so far, and everybody's talking about him. I would lay some money that he could possibly be Rookie of the Year.
I wouldn't not take that bet. I would put him in the top 5 easily. Also depends on the Holton kid if he plays for the Pirates, but I don't want to go on that tangent with you.
Right.
Here's that I'm fascinated about, and I was fascinated when they got him. And you could be really good at getting a guy a year before they blossom, and I think that's what they're trying to do. It's one thing to give an extra player, but this Dane Myers, from the time they got him, and it's spring training, and one of his home runs was on the clip before you were kind enough to come on. He's batting .455 with a 1.481 OPS this spring. I know it's spring training. I kind of really like him, not because of this when the trade was made.
You know what I loved about him when he first came up last year? His attitude and his confidence in himself. He doesn't act like a rookie. He acts like a veteran, and he's showing it on the field. And I think he'll take that into the season. I think I would really put him up at the top of the list for Rookie of the Year. He he does what we think he can do.
Interesting. So they might be a damn good baseball team. I think I see them making the playoffs. I don't see them winning the division, but I can see them making the playoffs again. And I can see them winning 4 or 5 more games.
I can see that. I was going to say I had him winning about 83 games before they got Suarez, and I think he's worth 5 games. I can see him winning 88 games. That's a big if. Injuries and players going into slumps and not having the seasons that you think they'd have, but it's the possibility is there, and I agree with you that I think the Cubs are going to win the division, but the Reds could possibly win enough games to still make the playoffs if they can win 87, 88, 89 games.
I think they're better than Milwaukee on paper, but we shall see. Hal, what else is going on in spring training? Are you getting explain to the world how you get excited when this time of year comes around and what does for your blood and flowing?
Well, people say I have stitches on my forehead, that I'm a seam head, but I just love the game so much. Even in the winter when you and I talk, I get excited about talking about baseball. It's other than my family and my lovely wife, it's my whole life. I just love the sport so much. I played it from the time I was 4 or 5 years old and played it until I was about 42. And it's just something that I love, and getting to go and watch now and cover them. It's just I've been so fortunate. I've never had to work a day in my life.
And I love talking to you. That's Hal. That is such a beautiful answer. That is a Hall of Fame answer from a Hall of Fame man about his Hall of Fame love for baseball.
Yes, absolutely. It's what like I say, other than my family, it's what I live for. I cannot get enough baseball.
Question, Francona.
Yes.
I love the guy like you did. I questioned why, we both questioned why they didn't sit Ellie down. And although he doesn't make the finals, I still think he could have convinced Carl to sit him down, that kind of stuff. And the aura and the atmosphere and the effort and the temperature and all that kind of stuff, he's as good as it gets. But you and I have questioned some of his moves. Do you think it'll be different because he'll have more confidence because he knows these guys more?
Yeah, I think probably last year was a get acquainted type thing, learning the personalities, learning what players can and cannot do. I mean, you just have to go back to everything he's done in Boston and Cleveland. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, we can question moves he makes. I question Sparky Anderson. I question Lou Piniella. Every manager is not going to make the right decision every time. And, we have 20/20 vision from the press box and hindsight and all that. So, I still believe in Terry Francona, and I think this year he's going to show what he's made of.
I'm probably stretching here, but I watch a lot of the preseason stuff that a lot of wonderful media people in Cincinnati put up. I listen to them. We use a couple clips every now, but I listen to a bunch of it. And last year he was excited, for the obvious, because he got the job. Tell me I'm not nuts, because I know you're watching and listening to some of the stuff too. He seems more excited because I think he thinks he's got a real shot with the pitching and this and that and the other. I think he's more excited. Am I stretching here?
I think he's very, very optimistic. And if you listen to him, his tone of voice, and he always sounds excited about things. He's never droll and never seems to be down. He's always upbeat. And I think that the players see that, and it goes along with them.
Can I share, to me, the number one stat they need to fix from last year?
Absolutely.
Okay. They lost 12 extra inning games last year. They played 15. They won only 3. That's
correct.
And I when I saw that, I'm going, how the hell did they make the playoffs? Even if you're 6-6, we're talking about your neighborhood. I see 86 to 90. You said 88. I will remember. How are you 3-12 and you make the playoffs?
I know that is, and they lost a whole lot of one-run games too, and that's always a sign of a good team and a team that's going to make the playoffs is to win the close games. They lost a whole bunch of those, and but they still managed to find a way thanks to the collapse of the New York Mets.
You're right. Is the word bunt a 4-letter word to Francona?
I think it's a 4-letter word to every manager in baseball. I had that question in my first Ask How this Sunday. Somebody asked about something in baseball that has slipped away and they don't do enough, and it's the bunt. Number one, most major leaguers don't know how to bunt. I mean, I see them try and they foul them off. And number two, they don't want to bunt. They want to hit away. They want to hit the home runs. That's where the money is. They don't pay money for bunts. So that's something that is not used as much as it should be.
God bless you. Your answer of baseball and your love. Everyone who gets to do in life what they love to do is a very lucky man or woman. And my respect for you is off the charts, Hal. I love talking to you, dude. I really do.
Well, I love talking to you too, man. You're the best. Like I've told you many, many times, I talk on many radio shows, and you are the best.
Thank you, Hal. God bless you. Have a great day.
You too. Anytime, my friend.
Facebook. Check him out on Facebook. He's got an unbelievable column. And it's not a short column. He's got his dogs on his lap, his stogie. He's got his man cave. He writes his column. One of the best people I've ever met. Jimmy, I don't think he has a bad day. I mean, everybody has a bad day, but you know what I'm saying? I don't think he has a bad day.
Yeah.
Have you heard a better answer about somebody loving baseball than that?
No, that was the perfect way to explain. Just, I hope everyone out there just loves something in your life like Hal McCoy loves baseball.
Amen.
And if you're lucky enough, you could find that and do it for a living.
Oh, never worked a day in my life. I know it's a common expression, but he actually believes it. Thank you to Hal McCoy. Thank you to Zach Gagan. Thank you to Brandon Ramsey. A lot of strong stuff in here today. Jimmy will have the podcast and show up in about a half hour. Coming up next, Brad Teller. Then what's coming up at 4 o'clock, Jimmy? What's it for?
Wildcat Drive with Matthew and Jimmy, 4 to 6.
You getting more sleep at night?
A little bit more, yeah.
Only a little bit?
Just a little bit. It is nice not having to wake up at 5, but.
Okay. Well, and good luck with everything at home.
Thank you.